The air is thick with the green, earthy smell of wet bamboo and decay, for figures move through the undergrowth. Their bodies lean and weary, their movements economical. They are Homo erectus, a family unit. The scouting party pushed out from the main clan by the gnawing pressure of hunger. The shorter, look, leads the way. His eyes, deep minus set under a heavy brow, scan the forest floor. He's a master of this terrain. His mind a complex tapestry of paths, water sources, and hiding places, a living example of cognitive mapping. His family's survival depends on the accuracy of this internal chart. Today, they are hunting bamboo rats, a small but vital source of fattened protein. The pursuit has drawn them further than usual, into a part of the forest where the bamboo grows naturally thick, casting the world in a perpetual twilight of green and shadow. His daughter, Isha, points. A flicker of movement in a dense thicket.
At last,
they freeze, becoming extensions of the forest itself. But Locke holds up a hand, not to signal an attack, but to hold. Something is wrong. The familiar sounds of the jungle, the chatter of monkeys, the drone of insects, have faded into an unnerving silence. The air is heavy. Still, Locke notices the bamboo stalks around them are different. Many are snapped cleanly in half, 10 feet off the ground. The fibrous pulp methodically stripped away. This wasn't done by wind or elephants. It was done by something with immense strength and deliberate purpose. This is a brutal reality of prehistoric life. You are rarely the most powerful thing in your territory. He kneels, his fingers brushing the soft, damp earth near a small stream. There, preserved in the mud, is the reason for the silence. It is a print, but of a kind that chills the blood. It is not the track of a tiger or a rhino. It is the impression of 4 massive knuckles, each as thick as his wrist, pressed deep into the ground. Beside it is the faint outline of a foot nearly 3 times the length of his own. He has seen this sign before, but only from a great distance, on the forbidden slopes of the high mountain. The old stories call it the forest god, the shadow that walks like a man but is not a man. The great ape. The scientific chronicles of a future age will name it Gigantopithecus blacki. Locke and his family knows a reason to run. A low, guttural sound drifts through the bamboo. A deep, resonant exhalation that seems to make the very ground vibrate. It is close, too close. Panic, cold and sharp, seizes them. The hunt for the rat is forgotten, a triviality in the face of this new, existential threat. This is the moment of transformation, the emotional turning point where the hunter becomes the hunted. Locke meets the terrified eyes of his mate and children. No sound passes between them, only a shared, silent understanding. They have crossed a line they did not know was there, a line carved not on a rock, but in a geography of pure fear. They turn, not with a sudden crash, but with a slow, deliberate stealth, melting back into the shadows. Their only hope is that the god of this forest is not yet aware of the small, insignificant trespassers in its sacred grove. Their retreat is a lesson in silence. Every footfall is placed with a care born of mortal terror. They move not as a family, but as for shadows detaching themselves from a darker whole. But the forest floor is a treacherous carpet of twigs and dry leaves. Isha, the youngest, her small foot catching on an old root, stumbles. She makes no sound, but the dry bamboo shoot she grabs for balance snaps with a crack that is impossibly loud in the dead air. 100 yards behind them, the guttural exhalation ceases. It is replaced by an unnerving, listening silence. Then, a roar. Not the sharp cry of a tiger, but a deep, booming sound that is half rage and half territorial command. It rips through the forest, a declaration that its sanctity has been violated. The chase begins. The sound that follows them is not the soft padding of a predator, but the rolling crash of an avalanche. Gigantopithecus does not need stealth.
Preparing to fight back.
It is a force of nature, a piece of the landscape in violent motion. It does not go around the bamboo thickets. It goes through them, The sound is of immense stalks being snapped like twigs, of whole sections of the forest being torn aside. It is the sound of pure, unstoppable power. The family runs, all pretense of silence abandoned. Adrenaline is afire in their veins. Locke pushes his mate and children ahead, his body a desperate, futile shield against the behemoth behind them. He can feel the vibrations of its movement through the soles of his feet. This is the ultimate expression of the food chain, a terrifying encounter with the apex of the Pleistocene megafauna. They scramble through a dense curtain of hanging vines, pausing for a single, precious second to look back. They do not see a face. They see only a vast, dark shape, 10 feet tall, a mountain of blackened red minus brown hair. Its massive arms, as thick as small trees, sweeping aside the bamboo as if it were grass. The sight is a hammer blow to the senses, confirming the terror their minds could barely conceive. This is not an animal they can fight or intimidate. It is a god, and it is angry. Locke's mind races, his fear a whetstone sharpening his intellect. He cannot outrun it in the open. He must use its size against it. His mental map shows him a path, a narrow game trail carved into the hillside, a foraging corridor used by deer and wild boar. It is too constricted for the great ape. It is their only chance. He grabs his mate's arm, pointing, communicating the plan with a single, desperate gesture. She understands immediately. This is the strength of their community, an unspoken language forged over a lifetime of shared existence and mutual reliance. The family veers sharply to the right, their smaller, more agile bodies allowing them to sit through the dense undergrowth that the ape must simply destroy. They can hear it bellowing in frustration behind them, the sound of its rage giving them a few more precious heartbeats. They run, their lungs burning, their legs screaming, the ground shaking beneath them. The entrance to the corridor is just ahead, a small, dark opening in the wall of green. It is a gateway to safety, but the sound of breaking bamboo is getting closer, louder, a relentless drumbeat counting down the final seconds of their lives. The crevice is a scar in the rock face, barely wider than Locke's shoulders. He shoves his mate, "Hooray!" towards it. She scrambles through, her skin scraping against the rough stone, not daring to look back. The sound of splintering bamboo is deafening now. The monster is seconds behind them. The two children follow, their small bodies slipping through the gap with the ease of lizards. Locke turns, putting his body between the opening and the oncoming terror. This is the ultimate act of altruism, the parental instinct to shield one's offspring from the horrors of the world. Even for a moment, he sees it then. A full view as it bursts through the last screen of green. It is a thing of nightmare and awe, 10 feet of muscle and dark fur. Its face a leathery mask of intelligent fury. It is not a beast acting on instinct. It is a king whose domain has been violated. Locke throws himself into the crevice just as the great ape reaches the rock face. A massive, 5-fingered hand, each finger as thick as his arm, swipes at the opening. The tips of its coarse black hair brush his heel as he pulls his legs through. He is safe. But the terror is not over. The family huddles together in the narrow, dark space, listening. The ape roars, a sound of pure, thwarted rage that shakes the very foundations of the rock around them. Then comes a sound of incredible power, the sound of the beast striking the cliff face with its fists. B-O-O-N. The rock shudders. B-O-O-N. Dust and pebbles rain down from the ceiling of their refuge. It is trying to break the mountain itself to get to them. This is no mere animal. This is an elemental force. The blows continue, a terrifying, rhythmic bombardment, until finally, with a last, long, frustrated roar that echoes down the valley, it ceases. Silence returns, deeper and more profound than before. They wait until the sun is low in the sky before they dare to emerge. The journey back to the clan's encampment is a silent, grim procession. They are not the same beings who left that morning. The world feels different, its shadows deeper, its benign fuzz stripped away to reveal the monsters lurking just beyond the familiar paths. When they finally stumble into the firelight of the main camp, their story spills out of them not in words, but in trembling gestures and wide, haunted eyes. Locke reenacts the chase, the size of the beast, the sound of its rage. He pounds his fist against a tree to mimic the sound of it striking the rock. This is the most crucial form of community sharing, the transmission of a life minus or minus death lesson that will now be seared into the collective memory of his people. The impact on the clan is immediate and permanent. The story of the forest god becomes a foundational text, a sacred warning. The high bamboo forest is now taboo, a place struck from their mental maps of the world. This single event dramatically reshapes the paleoecology of the region for them, defining where they can and cannot go, forever altering their relationship with their environment. Their terror has carved a new law into the bedrock of their culture, a moment that will echo through their entire hominid history. They did not defeat the god. They did not wound it. They simply learned, at great cost, where its church began, and that they were not welcome. They survived, but to call it victory is to misunderstand the very nature of their existence. For these early humans, and for much of our species' long, arduous journey, survival was not about conquest. It was about avoidance. It was about knowing which gods to leave undisturbed. The terror Locke's family brought back to the clan was more valuable than any Talor piece of meat. It was a story that created a boundary, a cultural adaptation born of pure fear that would save countless lives in the generations to come. This is a crucial, often overlooked, aspect of human evolution. Our ability to create myth. Gigantopithecus was a real animal, a product of biology and time, but in the minds of our ancestors, it became something more. A supernatural entity, a monster, a god. This leap from the real to the symbolic is a hallmark of our species. We turn predators into devils and storms into angry deities because it helps us remember, helps us teach, helps us survive. The study of anthropology is filled with these echoes, the ghosts of real minus world threats that became the monsters in the stories we still tell our children in the dark. How much of our capacity for belief, for religion, for art, was born not in peaceful contemplation of the stars, but here, in the terrifying shadow of something real that was too big to fight. The oldest maps were drawn not in charcoal, but in fear. But fear was not the only thing they learned to create.